Okay. All right. Come on. My microphone works.
Hello, everybody.
Echo, echo, echo.
Well, I don't know.
I'm going to go here.
The Monorail.
Test.
Oh, okay.
Well, did everybody have an enjoyable lunch?
So far,
Yeah.
some of them are still enjoying lunch.
Okay, yeah.
Todd's still enjoying lunch.
Todd is, yes, with the butler.
There's
With the butler.
Yesterday,
Is that a Mark
Todd
IV? It
had me
is.
hold his sport
Five-car
coat, so I have a
train.
picture of me holding his sport coat for him. I was the butler yesterday for him, so.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
We're up here to do a few housekeeping things before we start with our next panel. And yes, we did, because we went over on the last one, because Kim Murphy deserved all the time that he needed. On that subject, you'll probably see more signing at the end. There'll be some between the next break, but Kim and Tony Baxter are all at the end of the show in the Village. People are asking about the silent auction in there. Our timeline's a little off, but the idea is basically we'll give everybody a chance to get out of here because they want us to clear the ballroom when we're done. You'll be able to go over there if that's something that you're interested in. And we'll see if Gary can we get the countdown clock over there? If not, we'll hand there with like a countdown on a phone to let everybody know. But it'll be like right now it says 4:45. It might be 5 o'clock. We'll see, depending on how. I don't want to have people rushing out of the last session, just to make sure that they make it to the film. So we'll adapt. We built some cushion time into the schedule. So that said, Howard?
Yeah, so just like our panel of Imagineers here, there is also sort of a heritage of people that I feel like we need to thank for why we're here today. There are folks that worked in this space of Disney information and Disney fandom that were here before us, and we have a few of them here today. So I just want to take a moment to call out, some of the people who laid the groundwork for us that are here today doing this stuff. So is Mike Lee available in the audience tonight? All right.
Right there.
So Mike Lee from Widen Your World is in the back. He was probably the first guy on the internet to put information about Walt Disney World history out there. If you have read a Wikipedia article or an article from many famous authors, the information was most likely his.
As Dave Ensign will point out, no one would know about the Jungle Cruise frogs if it were not for Mike Lee.
Exactly. So thank you, Mike, for everything that you've done and continue to do.
When I got involved in the social media spaces, the most active, it's one of the reasons she's been treated like a celebrity this weekend, has been Fox Nolte. So we were so excited to finally bring her to one of these events. Those deep dives, really the foundation of the Lake Buena Vista panel, and obviously Michael Crawford as well with Progress City USA. We owe all of them a debt of gratitude. These events wouldn't have happened if it weren't for the work that they did.
Absolutely.
I would like to say I'm more we'll say the younger one. I don't want to say, but I am telling them all the time, hey, we got to get these people here to cover this. I know World of Micah was here covering us. His video's out already if you'd like to see that from yesterday, but don't watch it during this panel.
Oh.
And also Resort TV 1, who's on YouTube. They do a lot of live streams. They take us back to Disney on a Friday night. Josh was here filming some stuff too for us covering that. So big thanks to them, and check them out.
And Adam the Woo.
He was here. He did show up. On his own. We didn't. He wasn't quite. He just meandered in like he does. So his video's out as well if you'd like to see
What
that.
does this video call us?
The best, I believe.
Very
the
best
very
Disney
best.
history event you can go to. So
Yeah. So
I'll take that praise.
Yeah, lots of good stuff out there. Thanks to everybody sharing us too out there. We've been trying to keep up, posting it. It's super fun to see, the other side of it from your perspective online. So thank you.
Thank the staff. Are we going to have a chance to speak
Yeah,
later
we'll thank the
tonight?
staff later. Just as long as they don't screw up the last sessions, we'll
right.
thank everybody else who helped.
All right, perfect.
The last thing I do want to say is a lot of you have stopped me or the other boys to tell us how much this event means or how great it is. When we're up here, we don't know because we've lived this for 3 or 4 months. So when I say something that I think is going to be killer, oh, look at this slide, and there's Silence in the room. I'm like, oh, this panel stinks. They're not happy. So I then have you stop and say, man, it was great. Yeah, Gary. The living sees artist proofs. Next break. So, see, I don't want to thank Gary.
Threw him off there. Look at that.
Completely threw me off.
Is it like,
All right, Gary. Anyway, it means a lot to us. So please, no matter how busy we look, don't stop stopping us to tell us how great this is, because we need that to know to be able to do a next one.
there is at some point during the production of this, about a week out, where we were all like, F it, we're not doing this.
is it?
I'm
This is the
walking
finale?
away. We're not doing it anymore. And so if you
We're replacing it with a Cars ride. That's it. It's over. Yeah, boo!
I don't understand how that's going to work. It just doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. All right. Anyways, and I like cars. I don't know why they're going to do
Think
that.
about the Tom Sawyer Island panel we're going to get to do at the next event.
That's true. That's true. Too soon.
That's why we're here. That's why we're here. They rip your heart out, we put it back together again. That's what we do.
all right.
Todd's back in the back there waving as a member of the audience. So you just take the rest of the afternoon off,
Yeah, we're
buddy. We
good.
got it. We
You're
got
good.
it. That's it. Okay, let's get
right.
the Monorail show on the road.
Here they come.
Now you'll notice when you come up here that
There
if you're
you
looking
go.
at who's supposed to be appearing here, you're like, hey, one of them is out of place. And that's because our friend Bob Woodham was not up to appearing today, but Dr. Hardy is making a return appearance and tell us about her experience with the monorails. You coming over here or where? We got a seat here for you, Tom. You're seated
Okay.
at the left hand of the father. There you go.
Hearing aids work better closer to you anyway.
Fun to wear it.
All right. Since we ran over, I was wolfing down a hamburger in the back room after running around, so I didn't read my notes before this. We'll see if you notice.
Hello, everybody. We're about to board the highway in the sky for a trip back to the vacation kingdom of the world when it first opened. We ask that during our journey, you remain seated at all times. Please watch the doors and take small children by the hand. And no smoking, please. And now, please welcome the Walt Disney World Monorail Opening Day crew.
We did not have Jack Wagner record that for us. It might have been some AI at work there, but let me introduce everybody. We'll start there. Ted Meberg. And maybe the best way to start is tell us who you are and what your role was on opening day.
Well, I was hired in July and started training, and just the spur line was open. So we'd have one crew in the front cab and one in the back cab, and we'd go that 7/10 of a mile up to the switch beam, lock it up, the other end would start up. Did that, and then everything was great. We were going to have a shakedown on Labor Day. The employees, contractors, and so on, families. And it was great, except we didn't know what we were doing. There were no railings at the monorail station, and there was a thunderstorm in the middle of the afternoon. And everybody up on the exit platforms, but we survived that. I thought, this is going to be, I don't know if I can survive this. But I was a monorail driver, monorail pilot, opening day. I think it was the second one. I drove down from the Contemporary down to the, what we used to call the main entrance complex at TTC. And did that great. Promoted a little bit after that to attraction supervisor. Stayed with Disney until '73, and then I started teaching. I've been teaching for 45 years, but just retired a few years ago. So.
Did you ever get to go to the Epcot Teacher Center? That's not on the notes.
I can't afford it.
Hi, folks. I'm Bruce Fox. I was hired at Disney from the, I guess I don't know, most of you are youngsters, so you wouldn't know what I'm talking about, but basically there were trailers set up in Lake Buena Vista, and I was hired by a gentleman by the name of Bob Wacker, and he introduced me to an individual who might be familiar with, the gentleman on my right, Tom Nabby. And I came here at Disney to get a data processing job. Data processing may or may not mean anything to you folks, and that's what I came for. And somehow, some way, they said, "You ever thought about doing something like driving a monorail?" Now what? Well, it was explained to me, but anyway, end result, I was hired as an attraction supervisor. There were 3 of us. A gentleman by the name of Bob Woodham who couldn't make it. And I cannot remember Jesse's last name, but Jesse, at the time they didn't have any lead personnel that was attracted.
Moody.
Moody. Wish I had that kind of memory. That's why they have name tags for me. And anyway, there's a lot of things that I got involved with. Certainly the training. I won't go into the details until everybody else is introduced. And if there's anything that they leave out, I'll try to catch up on. So I'll stop talking. Tom's turn.
Okay, well, Bruce left out one of the most important parts. Bruce was the second monorail operator that I hired here, but in turn, Bruce liked a lot of pizza, and I basically told him, I said, "Bruce, you're going to be in this blue jumpsuit, and I really suggest you take off a few pounds." And Bruce did take off 15 pounds, so I hired him.
It's only 20.
Oh, 20?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Steve?
Okay, I'm Steve Case. I hired in 1971, and I'm the only monorail driver here that never graduated into management. These guys were all my bosses, so I'm humbled here, and I had a great time. They were very kind to me. I was swinging from the trees in Winter Haven, Florida, the orange trees, and Disney came along and hired me, and I'm most grateful for all the experiences I had. And that's it. Pretty humble.
And Dr. Hardy, pray tell why Tom asked you to sit in for Bob Woodham.
Well, I may not have been on the opening team, but I did arrive on monorails as a lead back in 1980 and ended up spending a total of 6 years on the rails, so both as a lead and as a supervisor. So that's why he's invited me here to enjoy the entertainment with all these guys.
Fans, and add some color from the second decade of the monorails, which is delightful. Tom, how many monorail guys did you have to hire, or gals?
I had just got out of the Marine Corps. I had got drafted, and I was working at Disneyland. And I got out in 1968, and I went back to work at Disneyland because they had to hold your job for you. And I worked for a gentleman by the name of Pete Crimmings. And Pete was probably the best manager you'd ever have in your entire life. And Pete said, "Do you have an interest in going to Florida?" And I said, "Well, yeah." He says, "Well, I want you to open the monorail system." And I said, "Well, Pete, I didn't work the monorail at Disneyland. You had to be 6 foot tall in order to work the monorail at Disneyland. And I was never going to be 6 foot tall." But in turn, they did train me for a year and had the opportunity to come down here and opened up the system, watched the monorails get put together at Martin Marietta, and then the first trains come in, trained the first 14 operators on the spur line because we couldn't get on the main line. And if you the slide where you see the monorail beams, all the monorail beams that have the arch on the bottom of them were transported here from Tacoma, Washington by rail.
Yep, we have some pictures
And
of that.
two of the beams, the two beams on the north end of the Contemporary Hotel, fell off the drain in the middle of winter, okay, and it snowed. And they couldn't find them, so they had to cast two more beams. So we didn't have a closed loop because those beams were lost. So we couldn't get out on the system for quite a while. Actually, it was about a month out from opening that we were able to do an entire tour.
Your starting wages in 1971.
Got close to peanuts.
Well, you know, $17 an hour today, it's more than they pay at Target.
Actually, these guys made more money than I did if they worked any overtime.
Well, who was working harder, Tom? Who was working harder, them or you?
Oh, yeah. Well, it was, I came down here at 2:05.
I can respond a little bit who was working hardest. I lived on Merritt Island. If you're locals, you know what I'm talking about. It's over on the East Coast. And I commuted between there and Disney. And I don't know whether anybody, you know, the 528, nice 4-lane road and so forth. Not in 71 it wasn't. It was a 2-lane road. And after going through a day of training, generally it could have been midnight, could have been 1, 2 o'clock in the morning on my travels back to the coast. And if anybody's traveled it early in the morning, and you have those rivers, the St. John's and so forth, pure fog. And so you're trying to do two things, see where you're going, and then staying awake. And that was how I got back and forth. There were a few nights that I did camp out in one of the monorails because we needed to get trained, and so it was whatever it took. But it was, like as Tom said, the training was interesting because you have to remember that the beam we're talking about from the shop up to where the switches are. I may be talking to, most of you probably know where I'm talking about, but there was no switch there. Basically, it was a hole. So when you're training, you're really putting part of your group in the front and part of your group in the back. And all it required was a key in each one you shut down one end and you go in the other end, and you'd go back and forth. That's how we trained, the initial crew. And we were laughing about, I won't mention any names, but there was a certain person that the Monorail shop, now you have to remember, the Monorail shop stops, basically there's a end point. You go over the end, you're outside the building. So you have to stop at a certain point. Well, when they would always ask, who's driving, who's coming back into the shop? And when you mention that person's name, they'd all rush they had a kill button. When I say kill button, basically a quick stop. And so they would just kind of monitor that particular train coming in, and they would shut down. They wouldn't even leave it to the operator to shut down at that particular instant. So we always thought that was comical. But yeah, then they, as Tom says, they completed the rest of the loop, and it was entertaining, and I'll talk a little bit, then I won't talk anymore. But what we found is that you have to kind of visualize that when we opened, there were still happenings going on. There were no rails in the Contemporary. There were none standing rails other than as you go up the ramp at the TTC. The Polynesian was kind of in flux. There's a story I think Ted might be able to tell about the Polynesian. And then, of course, the Transportation Ticket Center. And we didn't have railings for a little while when we first operated. And I'm going to pay a compliment to that, not just the opening crew, but the crew that followed before we had rails. We used movable stanchions, roped. But we had a crew that you look at today and you look at then, and I'm thinking, were they better people? I don't think so. But they were great. It was a great group of people because you had to adjust to the conditions. And when you have ropes and you have parents coming in excited about being at Monorail, at Disney, wanting to ride the monorail, and they're dragging their children, what you had to be very attentive to, obviously, to make sure those parents held onto those children so they wouldn't, when the train wasn't there, that they wouldn't lose the child and they drop into that trough that where your tires are and so forth, guide wheels and so forth. So I've always said that the best part of working with that team was the creativity. They had fun. It was a very fun group of people. They worked well together. When crunch time came, you could trust them to do whatever they needed to do. And they kept people safe for a long time. And there was a lot of folks early on that came up until we had fixed railings. And so I don't think I could have, it's sort of like I was the old guy. I still am the old guy, come to think of it. But at the time, and I'm not sure why Tom hired me, I always figured, well, it's got to be an age thing because there's a lot of youngsters out here. And he needed somebody older than him, I think is where it boiled down to. but they were youngsters who were ambitious. They had different philosophies, different personalities. But when it came time to do the job, I couldn't have asked to be at a better place with a bunch of really great kids. And I'll always be able to call them kids, even now. Steve and Ted, even Tom, come to think of it. But anyway, it was an interesting time.
Thank you.
Every day was a learning curve and watching what was going on. I was supposed to have 6 trains at opening. I had 3.5 trains. Finally, about Thanksgiving time, we got up to 6 trains. In turn, we put those 2 engineers from WDI, Dave Gengenbach and Ron Brown, that put the trains together in the shops. And they were constructed at Martin Marietta. The beams were shipped into Tampa, not Tampa,
Jacksonville?
what's the train station area?
Sanford?
Sanford?
No, right here in
Cape
Florida. Well, Taft.
Oh, Taft, okay.
I don't know how I didn't know that.
I had a senior moment there for a second, but they were shipped into Taft, and then they would be trucked over to the property. The longest beams was 110 feet in length, and the front of the beam was on the truck, and then they had a carriage on the back, and they would drive the beams over and then pick them up and put them in place. And if you look at it, there's 6 beams connected together that make one beam, and there's an expansion joint in between there, and then another 6 beams along the line. The beams in the station were poured in place.
I'm guessing this is the first beam leaving Washington that they posed for that one. Not the one they lost.
Could be.
That was the length of the one
They
we
did.
lost.
He did tell us they went back and got the 2 that they lost.
They did find them, okay.
They did go back and get the 2 beams that they lost. I think you told us that
Yeah,
before.
they recast them.
Yeah.
The problem being is the camber on the beam was slightly off. So the train, when it came into the north of the Contemporary Hotel, would do a little bit until they came in and polished that camber back into it.
And if you ever ride the monorail with Tom and
Yeah.
you hit
This
that
is
beam,
a
he will
square
tell you,
roundhouse.
I can feel it. We've hit that beam. There's the roundhouse, yeah?
Yeah, this is a square roundhouse.
Yes.
Park all the trains underneath, and then they expanded it out to 10 monorails.
Now, Tom gets a lot of credit around here because everybody's impressed that he walked the beam. But you're not the only one on the stage who walked the beam, are you?
Oh, no, there's at least one other on the stage that walked the beam by popular demand.
Tell us that story, Ted.
Well, I was at Magic Kingdom Station, opening day, and Tom said, be there about 4:30 in the morning, so I was there, and everything is cool. And then I get a call from Tom saying, meet me at the switch beam. And my initial reaction was 10-9, what? He said, yeah, meet me at the switch beam. Just walk on out there, and I've got stuff to do. And so the monorail was like over. I had to jump across into the monorail, that 18-inch wide beam, which seems very nice and wide until you get out there. Next time you're between Magic Kingdom and the switch beam, it's still scary to this day.
Yeah, well, I had things to do, so I needed to get back up to the office.
Well, Tom did the resorts, right? You went to Polynesian, to
He's asking if you
Contemporary.
walked from resort to resort on the beam.
U.S. Steel built the Contemporary Hotel and the Polynesian Hotel and the Gulf Resort. And they had a security lockdown on their gates. And it would take me anywhere from 2 to 3 hours to get clearance to get in and to check on the monorail stations. And so I basically said, the hell with this. And And as long as there wasn't storms and heavy wind in the area, I would walk up from the TTT station up into the Contemporary, okay, check out the station, then came back down and walk into the Polynesian station and check that station out, and then go do what else I needed to do for the day. And I couldn't walk all the way around because we were still missing 2 beams on the north end of the Contemporary Hotel.
Even at that age, you couldn't jump them?
Not at 110 feet, no, not 100. But understand, they're still pouring concrete, fire wells on the Contemporary Hotel on both ends. Radio transmissions was a lot of fun, and we were on the same frequency as watercraft and the submarines
20K.
and the Stowport, and so had to come up with a way to clear people in and out of the Contemporary Hotel. So I got a couple real long ladders and red flag and green flag, and put an operator on top of the ladder, and if it was clear to come into the hotel, they'd wave a green flag. If they had to stop, they would wave a red flag, because you just couldn't communicate on the radio. There was just too many people on the radio. So it was red flag, green flag, into the hotel.
Safety begins with Tom Nabby. This is the fabrication in the factory. That's one of the curved beams. Were you there for that, Tom?
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first train that came in on the park, and you know, everybody and their brothers. I didn't know there were that many employees, but everybody and their brothers showed up to see the train come in and get put on the beam.
And how far ahead of opening was that?
That's about 3 months out.
Okay.
And what color was the first one?
First train was Monorail
What color?
orange,
Orange,
and then green,
Yes.
lime green, and then gold.
orange, green, then gold.
Okay.
And then we're going to get to October 25th, 1971, because that was the weekend of the official opening ceremony. So these were slides that we actually scanned in that someone took that weekend. So there is Monorail, what's that, lime green, right? Yeah,
Green,
that's
yeah.
one of the
Looks lime
originals.
green.
And you can see the line up there. I know you didn't get really big crowds until Thanksgiving that year, right?
Yeah, a typical day was you came in the morning and you worked 4 hours crowd control at the Ticket and Transportation Center. Then you go up and take care of whatever business you had to take care of, and then you made sure you got back to the Magic Kingdom station at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because that's when the exit from the park would, and you'd work crowd control. We learned real quick, actually during the Labor Day construction invite, that the Magic Kingdom station was improperly designed. We had originally designed it that you entered in the center of the building and you exited on the outside. Well, what happened is we got several large rainstorms that came through, and it was very obvious that people wouldn't exit.
Into the rain.
Yeah. So we in turn changed immediately and had the entrance to both of the systems, the local and express, on the original exits. We also opened a lot of stations without any railings. We had a lot of rope.
I got it. I can see it there. There's some rope down the bottom there. And more rope. And if you were lucky, you got one of the spots under the umbrellas, I guess. So this is a shot of the inside of the monorails in October 25th, 1971. And that leads to a story here, Tom. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only Bob Hope. And we'll get we're going to watch the video. Well, actually, no. What we'll do is we'll let you tell the story, and then we'll watch the video.
Okay.
So you go ahead and tell the story of Bob Hope's opening speech.
Yeah. Well, Bob Hope was staying at the Polynesian Hotel, and we had built a platform in the Contemporary Hotel in the middle, and that's where he was going to do his narrative and monologue from. In turn, it was exterior train was turned into a local train, and we stopped at this little platform so he could get off the train and go down a set of stairs and did his monologue. And so he started in his monologue, and all of a sudden I'm hearing on the radio from Jim Cora, and Jim Cora was one of the project managers, and Jim basically said, "Tom, turn off them air conditioners. We can't hear Bob Hope." And I sort of looked and going, boy, the only way I know how to do that is push the kill button, okay, and shut all the power off to the north rectifier. And so, and then I picked up the phone and I called the shop, and I got the superintendent of the shop, Ron Strickton, on the line. I says, "Don't ask any questions. Get on your scooter, get to the north rectifier. You got 10 minutes to get there to get Bob Hope out of the Contemporary Hotel."
So we'll let you see the clip of Bob Hope pulling in and giving some of his speech, because if you've ever listened to our show, you know that I largely think Bob Hope isn't funny, and most people don't think he is either. But I've left some of his jokes in there for you to suffer through, so you can just kind of catch that shtick.
Now here's something you don't see as you enter your average hotel. Which brings us to something else. Now they say the old Spanish explorers used to look for the fountain of youth around these parts. Now I'd say they were a little bit too early. If you're looking for the spirit of eternal youth, here he is right now. My golfing buddy, Mr. Bob Hope.
Now wait and see if you can hear where Tom cuts the power off.
Thank you.
Right now is when I get the call.
Thank you. How do you do? How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? This is Bob, ex-Mouseketeer Hope. Boy, they don't build mice the way they used to, do they? Thank you, girls. Wait for me in Adventureland. How about this? Isn't this a beautiful place? And how about that mural? Look at that mural. When John Wayne doodles, he doodled. Hey, what a building. Now I know where the Goodyear blimp goes during the mating season. Now, this place is so big, by the time you cross the lobby, your luggage stickers have faded. And now I'd like you to stick around for a while and see what's been done and what's going to be done. You know, Walt Disney always believed in the beauty and natural wonders of the world. But he felt as we pass through, we should try to add a little wonder and beauty to it. Maybe you'll understand that Walt's dream was just a beginning. The dream doesn't stop here. This is the start of it. I think you might want to tell your grandchildren you were there when it happened.
I don't know who wrote that for Bob at the end, but they did a good job. That was a nice closing. But
It was right around the John Wayne. You could hear it get a little more quiet. Just it was the humming stopped a little bit.
so people could hear the jokes better.
Yeah, the jokes had to be heard.
the
Was
jokes
anybody
are high
else there
quality.
for that? Were you guys?
Yeah, who else was there for the Bob Hope platform? Any of yous?
I stayed away from it.
So a little bit here on life as a monorail pilot and on the monorail platforms. The often circulated Dan O'Keefe movie. So I know when you guys appeared on Tammy Tucky's show, you had watched and said a little bit about him. Can somebody tell me who Dan O'Keefe was?
One of the operators, opening operator.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was very much into filming, and it's funnier than hell.
It is. We've taken most of it out, but we did have Todd do the best he could with it's a really poor telecine transfer to begin with. But Steve Case appears in this shot, so
Yes, you are
you're
there.
ready for your close-up, Mr.
I've seen it many times.
We're now taking you to one of our monorail platforms. Here's Monorail Black. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, we have Steve Case as he exits the Monorail Black, one of the newer monorails of the Walt Disney World A-Wing monorail system. Steve is a real maggot.
Maggot.
He's been with us 2 years now. What we're trying to do is get some shots of people acting natural. It's very hard because these monorail people have had months of mental training and physical training, and it's hard for them to act natural when they are on the job.
Yeah.
So Steve Case's moment in the sun there, and hard at
awesome.
work. Hey Gary, I think Steve misses that uniform. Do we have an opening uniform here to show? You happen to have one in
there,
this
just-
bag. Look at that. They're all going to have PTSD. We'll see if it fits you, Bob or Bruce.
Look at
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Not now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
All right, try it on, Hans.
Realize that's a jumpsuit. And
to
try
show
to
to the
get
audience.
into it
Old
is something else.
Yeah.
So,
Did helmets serve any purpose other than decoration?
Nope.
No, just
well, maybe if you fell into the pit.
the trough, as they say.
Didn't have the logo? Yeah, see that? Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Have the little buckles on the backside that
Yeah, there's, I asked to see the cap, and of course it's a plastic helmet.
Yeah,
It's okay until you start having to wear it for 8 hours or 10 hours or whatever. But what's interesting about that, there's this, and I don't think it goes through here, but there's a pin. Well, this is a wing pin. It didn't have the wing pin as I remember. If somebody can help me with that. It was a single pin, sort of like you'd have on a tie tack, with that sharp thing on the end, and then of course you put that cap on it. Well, wearing that and having that around, and you're doing this, it would imprint on there. And I can guarantee you, if wearing the jumpsuit, and this cap was a monstrosity. I can't remember the young lady, we were discussing it. Go ahead, Steve.
The first helmet was not plastic. It was fiberglass.
Okay, I
if
couldn't
anybody
remember,
remembers,
yeah.
and it was so heavy.
Heavy, that was it. It was heavy, plus you had that pin that would embed itself in your head. And I mean, anybody had the opportunity to pull it off, and they wouldn't be seen, they would do it. But I just thought that was worthy of mention. They went away from that, obviously, but
yeah.
very uncomfortable to begin with.
Yeah, I had a mutiny with the female operators that didn't want to wear the hat, and it took quite a while for them to
How long were the hats around? When did
agree
they phase
to
out?
wear
Do we
the
know?
hat.
How long did they have to wear the hats? When did they not become part of the uniform?
Phase them out. I don't remember. I don't think I was there.
Basically, when it was failure to comply with direction.
That's the best time. So we want to thank Dr. Hardy for bringing that and surprising us with this uniform today.
Welcome.
That's not something you see every day. That's
Were-
really cool.
Were the uniforms more comfortable in the 1980s?
No.
What were the uniforms then?
In the 80s, they actually had gotten rid of the jumpsuit, still had the hat, and still had the pin that hit you in the head. So I remember those. But they were two pieces at that time. The women, you'll notice on that, it's for the men, they had a lime green shirt on. The women, their outfit was lime green
And
with
blue.
a blue shirt. And they were
Go-go boots, too.
Oh yeah, go-go. Oh yeah. I remember those go-go boots.
Oh, they're white go-go boots, yes.
I can already see the cosplays at the next Retro WDW. I don't know if any of you were, but I did read one story when I found this photo about tires exploding on occasion on the monorail line, and one exploding over the restaurant one day, and the bits of rubber raining down on the people eating. So we're getting a little like, yeah, that happens.
Yeah, usually a side tire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a main.
Or over a parking lot, and a bunch of cars.
Oh, hitting cars. I can
And
see.
if you had any really annoying guests riding in the front with you and you were just having a long day, you'd say, please keep it down because I have to keep this on the rail. And they would all just...
So I've looked for an excuse to use this picture for years, Tom.
Just take that in for a moment there.
Where
Just
did you
enjoy
dig
it.
that one up?
This was at Johnny Rivers' house. This was hanging on the wall, so we took a picture. But I'll have you tell us, well, let's hear the story of the group having dinner, and then we'll ask you about what happened when Dick Nunes couldn't see the monorail.
Well, this is a 55 club. So all these people here started out at Disneyland in 1955, and the locals that were here in Florida would get together, and the California group would get together, and this happened to be a 55 club gathering at Dick's house. And Dick had just approved the wearing of Bermuda shorts. And so Sully and Hank Danes and Arnold Lindbergh went to wardrobe and basically said, I want a tux, but I want it with Bermuda shorts on it. So they showed up to this party with their Bermuda short tux. And Dick filming it. It was at Dick's house, and Johnny Rivers was the chef for dinner that night.
Fantastic. There you go. So what happened when Dick Nunes couldn't see the monorail? What's the story there? Does anybody remember?
I remember, and I wasn't there.
That's why we have strobe lights on the monorail.
So where was he? Top of the world.
Top of the world. He was entertaining some executives.
And it was nighttime, and
It was nighttime, and the
monorail's
they
driving
thought,
around.
monorail's coming right now, and nobody could see it.
They're going, where is it? So then from that moment, it was, I'm not going to be embarrassed again pointing out the monorails. So it was soon after they had the strobe lights, the lights on top, so you could see them at night from your room and everywhere else. So.
It might have been Bob Woodham who told that story on the podcast. And, yeah.
Well, that was always, the strobe light was a necessity because it had lights, but the worst station was the Magic Kingdom. When you were coming out of the Polynesian and across, and you're sitting on the hill, are you clear to go in? It's just a mass of white lights. You couldn't tell whether there's a train in there or not. So you'd use the radio, obviously, to be able to clear your way in as you hear the mono ahead of you being cleared out. So the strobe lights were a great addition. They were very much a safety situation, not just for sight, but just to be able to say there's somebody down there.
Yeah. Ted, I think this is your story to tell about the painter at the Polynesian.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Knocked him off a ladder.
Go ahead, Ted.
Well, I'm not familiar with that. My only Polynesian story is in the early days, we had to shuffle the monorails around because you had to have a person in the monorail station because it was powered. And we had to switch them around. So basically, my shift was, we got off at 3:30 in the morning. And by then, all the monorails were secure in the shop. They've been serviced and everything. And you're all by yourself. And it was the most peaceful feeling. And I remember when I had Magic Kingdom Station, getting off at 3:30 in the morning, all the maintenance crew was at lunch. All the lights are on, the streets are all wet because they've been hosing it down. And you walk down the monorail from the bottom of the ramp there all the way down Main Street to the castle, or actually behind the castle, and then down to wardrobe. This is when we wore uniforms. And that's the most surreal feeling at all. Music is playing, all the lights are on, and nobody there. And that's a very, very happy memory for me. And then also seeing all the armadillos and opossums in that greenery at the ramp going down to Magic Kingdom Station. They lived in, now it's all gravel and stones, I guess, but it used to be nice landscaping there. But I don't know about a painter. You could fill me in on that.
Tom remembers the painter.
That wasn't me.
Yeah. Guy was painting on a monorail on the top of a ladder, and we pretty much told him that we were operating the trains, and he said, "Oh yeah, I know." Okay, but he didn't get out of the way. He just knocked him off the ladder.
Well, we already covered the crosstalk, but I had a great screen for it there. The crosstalk on the between the subs and the monorails, and you said the Stolport also. So I guess that was challenging as you were going around the beam, picking up all this other communication.
Where it was most critical is when you're moving your trains on and off, switching beams and coming on and off the main track. Because as you're trying to communicate to whoever's operating that monorail, to either, let's assume he or she are bringing it on, and you're in the midst of that. Now they're also communicating. You're not doing that from the top. The switches are being moved by maintenance personnel underneath that beam. So their communication has to be right on. And so what you're doing, you're in the middle of, monorail blue, proceed through the switches onto the local beam, etc., whatever you're doing. Well, in the middle of that, you're hearing, however the subs would communicate, bring it on to track 2. And they were very casual about their job because they're in the park. They're not bothered by anything, whereas we're trying to, it's a little bit more critical, because if you hear the wrong thing or move in the wrong direction, those switches, and the switches haven't been switched, and you think they are switched or vice versa, again, it's like the end of the shop, you also have a hole there where the switches aren't. So I don't know how long that lasted, Tom. I know we complained pretty vociferously, and we're pretty noisy about it. I think that was a couple weeks before we raised enough stink about the fact that this isn't going to work, boss.
Yeah, 3 months, and we ended up getting down to only 20K in the monorail on the same frequency.
Yeah, but then I remember when that was moved. That was a big deal.
That still was exciting.
Yeah.
Along that line. The other thing we found out is in a power failure that the monorail radio in the monorail would only transmit once. Okay, and it would drain the battery until they took care of that problem and put a battery pack in there. So if you had a breakdown, you needed to know exactly what you were saying, because you were only going to be able to say it one time, and you could hear everything that was going on, but you couldn't transmit.
Got it.
If I can talk 2 other experiences here? Or?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Disney legend Tom Nabby.
We learned real quick in the construction phase and early that the monorails, we had the local trains and we had the express trains, okay? And it was usually either 1 and 2 or if we had 3 trains, right, or 4 trains would be 1 and 3, that type of thing. We found that in the morning, all the people that were coming in on riding the express train, we'd run them in a counterclockwise direction. Okay, that way they went through the Contemporary Hotel. Okay, when exit started, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we would switch directions and run the train in the other direction, because what would happen is if they didn't go through the Contemporary Hotel, they wouldn't get off the train at the main ticket and transportation center. They'd stay on the train, so they'd do a trip and a half. So that was a challenge, and people just didn't quite understand that, and why we would change directions. But that's what we. Plus, the shop had called and basically said the tire wear, they were having problems, and we needed to change direction on the train for proper tire wear. And then the other one is the Contemporary Hotel, Ticket and Transportation Center, and Magic Kingdom or Crofts. Okay, the Polynesian Hotel is just open to the ground, and the original air conditioning units in the train had a horizontal fan in there, and every time the train came into the station, that the back pressure would push on that fan, and the blade on the fan would do this. And after about a month of operation, we started throwing fan blades into the skirts on the train. And the only way you could get in there is you'd had to pull into the Magic Kingdom station, and we had a work area trough down there, and you'd have to open up the skirt on the train. And then there was a circuit breaker up there, but it was right above where the fans were running. So you had a stick that you went up and you shut off the air conditioning unit because it's sitting there vibrating. And Dave Gengenbach designed a squirrel cage fan for it, and we had that installed probably in the first 60 days of operation. But those are those weird things that happen and going, oh, nobody thought about the back pressure.
Safety begins with Tom Nabby again. Did somebody lose Lawrence Welk? Lawrence Welk.
Don't know that story.
Whose story is that one? Steve, is that yours?
Well, I heard the story. It wasn't part of my story, but he ended up apparently getting neglected and went into the Monorail Roundhouse with his entourage.
Stayed on the train.
Yeah.
He had a little too much fun at the top of the world.
Yeah.
And didn't get off the monorail when he was supposed to.
And nobody got him off.
And he ended up here. So if you ever meet the ghost of Lawrence Welk, this is what a monorail station looks like to him as far as he knows.
And one really interesting
That definitely was after my time.
You wouldn't do that to Lawrence Welk, I know.
It was near opening, and the opening time of the park, and I was at TTC, and I get a call at Monorail Gold, I think it was coming down from the Contemporary, and Walter Cronkite and his family are coming up, and he'd like to ride in the nose. And only problem was there was a family already in there. So I was all ready to say, excuse me, could you wait till the next train? Walter Cronkite and his wife and his daughter were there and said, oh, no, don't worry about it. They're already in here. We'll wait for the next one. So they just gave me a little insight into the kind of gentleman that he was. I really remember that.
If you're feeling nostalgic, Ted Linhart has the Walt Disney World Monorail System Standard Operating Procedures Manual on display over there in the room. And it's fortuitous that Dr. Hardy's here because you were around for the Epcot expansion. So what was it like opening that line?
Probably very similar to the experiences these gentlemen had. For me, I was a lead at the time, and we were watching the monorail beam go out to Epcot. That was, exciting, scary. We were going to get 2 new trains. That was Monorail Lime and Monorail Coral. And just having my greatest experience for that was once we had some test and adjust on the beam going to Epcot, we were finally able to go inside Epcot and do the teardrop, which was pretty interesting for our guests to see the park before they even got in. And we did test and adjust, but we also, that was an aha moment. One of the first trains I got to be the driver to bring it out there and see that experience. But once we opened for a pre-show for our guests, I'm not sure how many of you are aware of that. The monorail transported guests from the Transportation and Ticket Center over to the monorail station. They were able to get off of the monorail and go down to the first platform. So they went down the ramps to the first platform. We had our guest relations there. They had videos. They could see a little bit of what the park would look like because they had that little teaser going around the teardrop. And then they got back on the monorail and they went back to the Transportation and Ticket Center. So I was there for all of that excitement. So just seeing all of the beams being put in, the new monorails coming out, was pretty exciting.
Well,
Very exciting.
It's fantastic that we've been able to cover 15 years of the first 15 years of the parks and the monorails. The ride on the monorail for most people, especially if you come as a kid, is like the most exciting first thing that you do when you get here. It's a seminal part of a trip here, of a first trip here for sure. We'll all end up, those of you who have kids and bring them, the kids who get obsessed with the monorails, like that was their favorite ride, not the one you paid $200 for them to get on. It's the monorail ride, which used to cost, what, 50 cents, $1 back in the day?
$1.50.
$1.50.
That was part of our day. We'd come from Fort Wilderness to the Contemporary just to ride the monorail and do the loop and everything. And it, as we got older, it turned into a bar crawl. That was great. So.
Yes. So for all of you, thank you very, very much for being pilots, and we've all been co-pilots today. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
All right, we need to get off here. Where are we running late?